We got a big show today, breaking down Arizona State coming in at number 11 in the AP Top 25, reaction to Camp T scrimmage. And right before we went live, Anthony Totri called me something that I can't repeat on air.
Welcome into the PHNX Sun Devils show. Of course, we're coming to you live from Studio K, presented by Circle K. Make sure you join Inner Circle for free by downloading the Circle K app today. Terms and conditions apply at participating locations. Visit CircleK.com for details. I am Anthony Totri, joined as always by my favorite passenger princess, Erik.
You don't want to say what you were saying before?
I was thinking of a couple different ones that I've actually never said on air before, but I figured it was probably
there's like probably just as long of a list of nicknames that don't make it
that are, you know, they just can't. They should make it on air, but we can't. Like,
yeah,
we'd get in trouble for it. Of course,
it's because I just start crying because they're really mean.
Well, yeah, you're a big crybaby. Crybaby Rubus is maybe one that we could throw in there.
I feel like that's probably already been there.
Yeah, the Deli Man, he's behind the Mac, making all of the magic happen. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and drop a 5-star review wherever you get your podcast. We've got some thoughts and reactions from that Camp Tantazona scrimmage. Of course, the Sun Devils back out at practice today. Got some new updates from the Kajikawa practice fields. But first and foremost, the preseason AP Top 25, fresh off the press, and the Sun Devils coming in at number 11.
Wow.
To start the 2025 college football season. Are you serious? Rubus, we said this was probably the best like spot that they could be in to start the year.
Yeah, I think so. It's funny because you look at it, and on like the AP website, it has the down arrow and -4, right? So it's just funny to be like, oh yeah, they were the 7th ranked team in the country at the end of last year. But yeah, when we talked about this last week, we were saying like worst case end of the teens, best case 11th, probably not going to be a top 10 team going into the season. But I mean, you can't really ask for anything better. I guess you could technically ask for 10 better spots. But realistically, like going into this season and what we had talked about and what the national perception is, to be at 11 is a very big deal.
Yeah.
This is, and I've been saying this now, where we got through this moment in like the summer where there was some like, disrespect thrown Arizona State's way, some doubt, Cam Scadaboo conversation, whatever. As we have gotten closer to the start of the season, more and more national recognition has been heaped upon this team.
Yeah.
There is nowhere to hide. Week 1 against NAU usually doesn't matter. This year it matters. You need to play like a top 11 team playing against Northern Arizona University, right? You can't just go 3-0. You can't just go undefeated. You have to be dominant.
You do.
And being the 11th ranked team in the country, man, and looking at some of the teams that are around them, it's a big responsibility for this team to shoulder going into this season in a great way.
100% agree. Short post in the chat, JJB as well. Good to see some familiar faces. David in here also. Look, I think when you bring up that this team needs to dominate those first 3 weeks of the season, specifically that game against NAU, right? Like, I maybe found the most, if we want to say disrespectful, right? To still try and use the word disrespectful.
We're getting more bulletin board material?
I think this is, and Shane, you're somebody that is very familiar with how betting works, sports betting. First game of the season, the number 11 team in the country is facing off against a little program like NAU. What should the line of that game be?
Like 38.5 minimum.
Have you seen what the line is week 1? It is 28.5 for Arizona State versus
now.
NAU. I was telling everybody this weekend, I was like, that is like just crazy to me that Arizona State is only a 28.5 point favorite over a team like NAU. Again, considering doubling down that this team is now number 11 in the nation.
If they don't cover that, they're not winning the Big 12 championship.
I mean, that is a wild assumption to make.
That's crazy, right?
But
if they don't beat NAU by 30 plus points,
they should be.
This team's not doing anything.
They
Stop
should
it.
beat NAU by 30. They should beat NAU by 30 plus points. But that was just like wild to like. See,
that being said, if they win by 24, I'm not going to be worried.
No, I mean,
I'll be disappointed, but I'm not going to be worried.
Yeah, I think
that's why you schedule these cupcake games.
Still depends. I think how you
Gotta
win
get
that
the
game.
kinks
If it's
out.
24-0.
They got to win by 30 plus. I
agree.
We're the 11th ranked team in the country.
They should. All I'm saying is that is a little crazy to me that, yes, they come in and they have gotten some respect from AP voters.
If Alabama played Northern Arizona University and did not cover a 28-point spread, like people would be like, what the hell?
Yeah, 150%.
Like you have to put yourself on the same level as the teams that are around you. And they know that. And they know that like they're going to have to now go into the season saying, hey, you're not getting an automatic bye if you win your conference.
Shortbus says, hope my kids are smart enough to get scholarships because I'm betting the house.
You're going to be able to buy in the university. Like there's no automatic buys now for winning your conference, right? So every single week matters.
Not automatic buys, but you do if you win the conference.
You make it.
You get an auto bid.
You get an auto bid, but not an auto buy.
Correct.
Right? You don't become a top 4 seed in the college football playoffs just by winning the Big 12.
Yeah.
Right? And if they didn't get that last year, the whole bracket would have been completely different. Right? You know that you are going to have to win over these voters as the only Big 12 team right now that's even sniffing the top 10, with Kansas State coming in at 17, and I don't see them as the 17th best team in the country. And you have to overcome the SEC bias, right? Even the Big 10 bias. Even a little ACC bias in there as well.
You think there's ACC bias or is there Clemson bias?
I mean, Miami is 10. I just think that at this point in time, they know as a team that they have to be thoroughly dominant from the first snap of the season.
Yeah.
And
like they were last year.
Right. And we'll go over maybe some of this, but you look at some of the teams that these other top 15 teams are playing in the first 3, 4, 5 weeks of the season. You know, it might be good for them because they're playing other ranked teams and maybe that helps ASU, but also like Arizona State going 3-0 in dominant fashion is going to do nothing for their
I disagree.
For their national
disagree.
perspective, if they dominate Texas State, the worst team in the SEC,
if they win all 3 of those games by 28, 30 points, absolutely, that does something good for them.
That's
because
expected.
You look at but still, in terms of the AP and the poll and the way it works, you have top 10 matchups. You've got 3 top 10 matchups in week 1. You got number 1 Texas versus number 3 Ohio State. Those 2 teams, regardless of the outcome, will remain in the top 10.
Yeah.
But then after that, you've got number 4 Clemson versus number 9 LSU. If LSU drops that game, they're out of the top 10. If you've got number 6 Notre Dame versus number 10 Miami, whoever loses that game, depending on how it goes, you could argue they fall out of the top 10. If Arizona State wins by 35, then yeah, they move up inside the top 10. If you continue to win and beat teams, we've seen before that the AP voters do not punish teams for winning games. Now, if they win by 3 points against NAU, then yeah, they deserve to fall. But if you beat NAU by 30, if you go on the road into an SEC team's house, pick to finish last or not, and you win and handle business, they're not going to punish you for beating a team on the road.
I'm not saying punish, but I'm talking about like if you want to make like this, because we're talking jumps, right? We're talking improving. If Arizona State wants to get back to where they ended last season, let's say the 7th ranked team in the country, which is Oregon right now, I think that's not possible after 3 weeks of the season. I think the most that they'll jump if they dominate the first 3 weeks is like 9. Like I don't think that playing that type of competition, well, they're not going to get punished. I don't think they're going to get moved down if they dominate. I don't know if they get moved up to 7. And maybe this is still some like PTSD of like bias against Arizona State. And maybe I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong. Right? I hope I'm wrong. But I do think that once you get Big 12 play, if you dominate those 3 weeks, which again should be the standard for the 11th ranked team in the country,
agreed,
and then you go into Baylor and you take care of business on the road against Baylor, that is when it's going to start being like, oh crap, like is this a top 5 team in the country? If you start Big 12 play and win your first 3 Big 12 games in dominant fashion, right? then it's going to be like, okay, now the perception is shifting. I think realistically, with where Arizona State is right now at 11, through the first 3 weeks, they don't have a big chance to change their national perspective in this like positive way, which is fine. It's already positive. I think it's more of we have to avoid being viewed in a more negative light of, hey, this is closer. Hey, this is a flash in the pan.
I mean, I disagree with you. Short Bus, Glenn, disagree with you. You're again, like, I see your
top
side
5
of things.
after non-con. I just don't see.
I see your side of things. Well, you said top 7. So, like, if Miami drops and LSU drop those first 2 games of the year and ASU wins 42-0, guess what? They're the number 9 team in the country.
Sure.
Like, that's the way that's going to work. Just after week 1, there are other matchups inside the top 10, I imagine, and the top 15 within those first 3 games of the season. And if Arizona State, again, continues to, if they beat Mississippi State and Texas State the way that they beat NAU, then I think there's certainly a chance that they continue to climb. I think the idea that this team now has so much like negative bias around, or there's negative perception because of like the way that things have gone in the past, I think that is like, we could throw that out of the window, because like Seth says in the chat, this is the highest that you've seen Arizona State in the preseason AP top 25 since 1998.
No, I'm not saying that people are implicitly going to not believe in them. Obviously, they're the 11th ranked team in the country. But what I'm saying is, like, top 5, which is what Glenn said, top 5 after non-con, I don't see that them jumping 6 spots, even with the other teams playing each other after beating the schedule they have. And maybe I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong. And maybe this is just a bad take by me, which add it to the list. There's a huge pile out back. We're getting rid of it. We're burning it this weekend. But I don't think that they have a chance to jump into that category until Big 12 play. Mm-hmm. Right. And that's just what I think. And partially because they're already there at 11, right? None of us predicted, I think, them to be 11. I think the highest that we predicted was 12 or 13. Did you say 11?
I said that they should be 11.
I should be, but we talked about like actual predictions.
Yeah, I said they would probably be 12 or 13.
We have our top 25 predictions.
I meant like last week.
Last week, not
we
like,
have
not
the
like,
one from like a couple months
3
ago.
Weeks ago.
Yeah.
That's not a couple months.
No, that was not 3 weeks.
Months.
That was not 3
a couple
weeks
months.
ago.
That's like maybe a month and a half ago.
I don't know, dude. Time flies.
Yeah.
July's not even real anymore. But
it's a fake month now.
But I think we thought realistically this team would be like around like anywhere from like 13 to 15 would be like, oh, well, maybe they just don't believe as much. Like 11 is where they deserve to be. Don't get me wrong. 11 is where they deserve to be. But I think if they were like 15 and they go 3-0 non-con, okay, well, yeah, they could jump into the top 10. It's like, well, that's a big jump.
Yeah.
Right. I think being 11 and playing that, I think the highest, maybe 8. Right. I don't see Glenn, and I know you didn't say top 5, but Glenn saying top 5 after non-con with when you have teams like Texas, Penn State, Ohio State, Clemson, Georgia, Notre Dame, Oregon, Alabama, LSU all in front of you, and sure, some of them are going to play each other. Yeah, I don't see that top 5 being open to somebody who's not going to have a premier signature win after 3 weeks. But 3 weeks in itself, it's like that doesn't matter as much. What do you do for the rest of the season when you get into Big 12?
Yeah, but you also have to think like Oregon, for example, their first 3 games on paper, for 4 actually, are cupcake games. But like if they go lay a stinker against Oklahoma State and they end up winning like 33-10, but in the fourth quarter it was a 1-score game. The AP is going to take that into consideration. So
I mean, look at Florida State last year.
Yeah.
Florida State laid a stinker against Georgia Tech to open the year last year, right? And Georgia Tech was a better team than people thought, but still, like this is all preseason stuff, right? How many of these teams we cover and see Arizona State every day? Some of these teams certainly got worse, right? Every year there's a team that's in that top 10 that feels like, okay, like I could see it, and by the end of week 2 or 3, they're out of the top 10.
Who do you think that team is?
Based on who's in the top 10 currently?
Top 10. Texas, Penn State, Ohio State, Clemson, Georgia, Notre Dame, Oregon, Alabama, LSU,
it's
Miami. So 10.
I don't think Miami is going to be I don't think Miami's ranked at the end of the season.
You don't think they're ranked?
I don't think they're ranked at the end of this year.
Interesting.
No, I'm not. I do not believe in Carson Beck at all, really. So that's my 2 cents on that. Who do you think is a top 10 team right now that has the best odds to not be ranked?
Not be ranked,
or maybe lay a stinker, be the massive fall.
To be the disappointing team in the top 10?
Yeah.
Clemson.
Really?
I define disappointing top 10, like out of the top 10. I think there's a realistic chance.
You asked the question.
I think ASU and Clemson are pretty similar, right? And I think Clemson will be fine. I don't think they're the 4th best team in the country right now.
I'm going outside the top 10, South Carolina. Get out of here.
You're not a South
you hate
Carolina
Lenore
guy.
Sellers.
I love Lenore Sellers. I think everyone else stinks on that team.
Well, that's fair. I was telling him there was a stat that I saw, I think yesterday, that was if you go back to last season, Lenore Sellers was sacked on a total of 33 drives in 2024. 97% of the drives that he was sacked on either ended in a turnover or a field goal or a punt. Like, they had better odds that if Lenore Sellers was sacked on a drive, that it would end in a turnover before it would end in a touchdown.
It seems like an indictment on Lenore Sellers more than the team.
I feel like it
You are
doesn't.
not a Lenore
I feel like it's more of like the surrounding weapons in the offense as a whole.
No, I
don't think that's strictly on Lenore Sellers.
he gets sacked and puts his head down, gets all sad. No, I'm just
Not
kidding.
a team guy.
No, that's exactly what I'm saying though. Like, I just don't. I'm not impressed with that team built around him.
Ben says you're a Lenore buyer.
No, I'm a Lenore.
You're fully a Lenore Seller.
No, I'm a Lenore Seller for the team. I'm a Lenore buyer for Lenore Sellers.
Okay. I hear it. Lee Corso says, what about Michigan?
Yeah.
And also saying, can I say Texas Tech? I think these are all fair.
But those are like later though.
How about Tech being 22? That made me so happy.
23.
Or 23.
Yeah.
Iowa State 22.
Well, look, we'll get into
How about Colorado getting above?
The rest of those ranked Big 12 teams. Also, some Big 12 teams just outside looking in that AP Top 25. We'll talk about all that and more on the other side of our first break. Like, I don't know about you guys, but I feel like everybody here needs a checking account.
It's fair.
You, me, everybody in this office, everybody listening and watching at home. And guess what? Mountain America Credit Union, the perfect place for you guys to open that checking account because you guys can get an account with built-in benefits. Mountain America's My Style checking account has perks just for you. You guys can enjoy a bunch of different deals here, including mobile phone protection, restaurant deals, telehealth access, identity protection, loan rate discounts, offers on travel and events, and more. Mountain America Credit Union looking to help you guys out. Make My Style your lifestyle at Mountain America Credit Union. Make sure you visit macu.com/mystyle to apply. Insured by NCUA. Membership required based on eligibility. Now, some benefits require no cost registration/activation. Terms, conditions, and exclusions apply.
What's one thing we all hate? We all know. Let's say it on 3. Ready?
Yeah.
1, 2, 3.
Big box stores.
Everybody hates big box stores, especially when it comes to home improvement and especially when it comes to your flooring. And that's why we love Empire today. Not just because they're going to give you $350 off to listening to these 3 goofballs, but also because they'll be in your home. Same day schedule, free in-home estimate. They'll answer all of your questions, get measurements for your home. What matches your furniture? What matches your style? What color palette do you want? Well, they'll answer all of your questions. Or you can also check out their virtual floor visualizer. You just hold your phone up and then it virtually visualizes the floor. Pretty simple, pretty neat, but not simple to get flooring this great. And that's why Empire Today is run by flooring freaks. I'm talking flooring psychos and
Flooring
sickos.
freaks.
Flooring professionals. You get clear upfront, all-inclusive pricing. Plus, you can schedule installation as soon as the next day. Schedule a free in-home estimate today because some things are just better off at home. And PHNX listeners can receive a $350 off discount when using promo code PHNX. That's right, $350 off when using promo code PHNX. Restrictions apply. Visit empireday.com/PHNX for full details.
David saying we play 2 barely ranked teams. The schedule is manageable, and we should be thinking 12-0.
I think that the absolute ceiling for this team is 12-0 during the regular season. I think it's on the table. Is it possible? Is it possible? Yes.
Yeah, I think it's
going to
possible.
be extremely difficult and likely? Yeah, it's not likely. It will be extremely difficult.
Yeah, Glenn says if Ohio State gets curb stomped by Texas, do you still put a 1-loss Ohio State team ahead of ASU week 2?
Yeah.
I think absolutely.
Yeah.
You always put you always give a reigning national champion a little bit more grace than everybody else. Now, when you say curb stomped, if Texas beats them 42-0, then
they'll drop to 8.
Conversation.
They'll drop to
if they lose 42-0, they're dropping more than 8. 100%.
I don't know. I think that they might just be like, wow, they lost
if
the
it's
number one
a
team in the
2-score
country
game,
week
then
1.
yeah, they'll drop 2-3 spots max. But yeah, if they lose by 42 points, yes, 150% they're falling. They're falling. You can't just any of those top 10 teams.
It's fair.
If you lose by 40 plus points or you get quote unquote curb stomped, then yeah, you absolutely need to fall. I don't see that happening. Glenn's saying 42-10. I think then you certainly are dropping at that point, 100%. But let's get into some of those other Big 12 teams. I know you already kind of hinted at it. Kansas State at number 17, the second highest ranked Big 12 team, not named ASU. You got Iowa State, the Big 12 runner-ups, at 22, and then you have Texas Tech sitting pretty at number 23.
Out of all the teams on this list, Texas Tech doesn't have a logo on the AP website.
On the AP website, they just don't have a logo.
They just don't have a logo. I think it's hilarious.
They had to sell it. They had to sell it for more
money. They had
money.
Lenora sell it.
Yeah.
Kansas State at 17. Everybody loves Kansas State. And I'm not anti-Kansas State. I think they have a legitimate shot at being in the Big 12 championship. I don't know why, but like when I see 17, I feel like it's too hot. Like, are you with me, against me? Like, I feel like they just have a little bit more to prove than to just be, hey, you're the 17th ranked team in the country.
Yeah, I mean, I hear it. I do think Avery Johnson is probably the second best quarterback in this conference. I think this is a team that outside of losing DJ Giddens, like overall, I feel like they are certainly an improved team. But they kind of fumbled it last year. I think they had every opportunity to find themselves in the Big 12 title game at the end of the year, and ultimately they couldn't make it happen.
Join the BYU club.
So this is a team, especially in a quarterback in Avery Johnson, that needs to go out there and he needs to prove it from the jump. And guess what? You're going to have that opportunity. Number 17 versus number 22, week 0, right? Like that's a big game.
That is a really big game. And did we clarify? Does that count as a Big 12 game, or
I don't know if we figured that out? If it was
which one?
Kansas State, Iowa State.
Week 0, Kansas State, Iowa State game. I don't know if that counts.
Because if it does, that's a really big deal.
If it's a conference game?
If it's a conference game, that's obviously it's a big deal no matter what. It's 17 and 22. But if that counts as that game, the week 0 game could have significant implications on who plays in the Big 12 championship.
Yeah. No, I think you're 100% right. And that's, if you go back to the anonymous poll that was done at Big 12 Media Day, those are the teams that people predicted would be in that Big 12 championship game. So, you're getting a glimpse at it here. And you're going to see what those teams are made of.
It is.
Which is huge. Absolutely huge.
That's a really big deal.
It's by far and away the best week 0 game, by the way, that is on the slate this year.
Yeah, and I think the Big 12 did that on purpose, too. Like, putting those two teams out there. That being a conference game is... Like, there's going to be a conversation at the end of the season where it's like, remember when Iowa State won on a walk-off field goal week 0 against Kansas State in freaking Ireland? Like,
so weird.
Like, that determined Iowa State, being in the Big 12 championship in back-to-back years. Yeah. No, well, I guess technically I think you could last season because of the scheduling stuff. So Seth says you can't play conference opponent and not have it be a conference game. I don't think. U of A, Kansas State played last year, but that was scheduled before U of A was in.
Yeah, I think they did. They play again this year in non-con, I believe. U of A and Kansas State, and I don't believe it's a conference game because they had a home. It was
a home and home.
Yeah, so I believe I could be wrong on that, but if I'm remembering correctly, that those two teams play each other again non-con. Glenn says 5 Big 12 schools receiving votes. Big 12 needs to represent the Big 12 non-con week. Baylor versus Auburn is a big game.
It's a really big game.
Big game, and even tougher for Baylor. A lot of people in the chat talking about it, but Baylor did lose their starting running back, Dawson Pendergrass, out for the year with a foot injury, according to multiple outlets covering Baylor.
That's a big deal.
Yeah.
That's a really big deal.
But again, regardless of Baylor returning their running back, this season was already going to be all on the arm of Sawyer Roberts.
Yeah, but
it definitely hurts.
But still,
it definitely hurts.
Losing your starting running back, and it's 3 Big 12 teams right outside of the top 25 receiving votes. BYU 156, Utah 144, and then Baylor at 132. Right?
Colorado and TCU also receiving votes.
Right, but these are the first 3. This is 26, 27, 28 are all Big 12 teams. Right, BYU, Utah, Baylor.
Yeah,
that's a big deal for Baylor. To lose their starting running back when the margins are going to be that thin, like especially at the start of the season when you are playing in Auburn in non-con, that's interesting for sure. I would say I'm definitely I don't know if it completely knocks Baylor off of Big 12 contenders, but I think it certainly drops them down a peg just a little bit because you're losing your starting running back. Now this is a team that wasn't starting Sawyer Robertson at the start of last year and ended up still being one of the bigger surprises in conference. So it'll be interesting to see what they do. But I think they certainly have a chance to be ranked. I think it's a lot easier to jump from non-ranked to ranked after like non-con or whatever if you have 3 really good weeks or you play one good game.
I mean, Baylor will be there week 1. If they win, if they beat
Auburn
then
week 1, they'll be in the 20s, I think. It depends on how they beat Auburn.
Yeah, no, I think that's 100% fair. I think, again, like when you look at some of these other Big 12 teams that are fringe, right, with the Colorado situation, with TCU, with Baylor, with Utah, we've talked about it all summer. That like each and every one of these teams has the potential to be a really dangerous team in this conference, right? Utah upgraded. They got a new dynamic quarterback, and it's still Kyle Whittingham, right? You look at a team in TCU. Josh Hoover was airing it out like nobody's business last season. Is that defense improved? You talk about Baylor. Does Sawyer Robertson get better going into this season now that he's got the reins for an entire year? BYU, everybody's saying that this is a below average team now, myself included. Do they maybe feel disrespected? Are they the ASU of this season? Going
back to Kansas State, Avery Johnson was not himself at all last year.
Yeah.
His ab was abless. Like,
his ab was abless.
He was hurt after like week 3 or whenever that was.
Yeah.
So I mean, you can't. Like, imagine if Sam was in and out last year, not playing, but like just like in his production, like that would have derailed the season. I'm Kansas State's the team I'm worried about most this year. I think
in terms of like
beating ASU,
being a dangerous team. Yeah. Well, they don't play each other.
No, they don't play each other.
Yeah, but as I was going to follow it up with the Big 12 championship.
Yeah.
Like,
I think. For me, when we talk about like what's going to be dangerous for Arizona State, I feel like we've hit a point now in like the prep for the season and the preseason where it's like, okay, we talk so much about these teams individually, right? Like, oh, Arizona State, they've got a quarterback, they've got a defense, and they've got Jordyn Tyson. And you look at Kansas State, well, they got a really good quarterback and a really good coaching staff. And we talk about all these teams the way that they are. But now that the rankings are set preseason, right, and we're talking, again, we're months ahead of that conversation of like, oh, who's going to be in the Big 12 championship game? But I think a rough matchup, not only for Arizona State with Kansas State, but like most of the Big 12, Arizona State has something that I don't think a lot of teams in this conference have. And that is a top 15 defense in the country.
Yeah.
Which we saw at Camp Tontozona.
And we'll talk about it because, buddy, that defense
was smothering, right? Defensive line, linebackers, safeties, corners, depth. It was all out there. And I think, again, it's been a lot of like, oh, well, look, they got a good defense. They got a good defense. They got a good defense. Okay, well, what if we have that conversation now where it's like, okay, what does this defense look like matched up against a Kansas State? What does it look like matched up against an NAU? What does it look like matched up against a Colorado? Like, these are the conversations that we can have now. And like, I think if you look at the number 11 team in the country in Arizona State versus the number 17 team in Kansas State, I think there is a big, big drop-off in the defensive talent that you have just in those 6 spots, at least from what I've seen. Again, I'm not out covering Kansas State, but from what I have seen out at ASU practice, which we'll get into in a little bit, because there are some changes that are worth discussing. I think this is a group that, again, is just going to be more dangerous than people are giving them credit for.
Yeah. Well, it's tough because it's like, where does the credit come from for being the number 11 team in the country, right?
Well, it's Sam Leavitt and Jordyn Tyson.
I mean, that's definitely part of it, but you don't just get to be the 11th ranked team in the country just from your quarterback and your wide receiver, right? That's a comprehensive team thing. Like, Texas isn't just there because they have Arch Manning, right? Like, that's not how it is.
Yeah.
If it was just based off of your quarterback, then Ohio State wouldn't be 3. There's more to it than that. But as far as like maybe the most slept on top tier defense in the country, I think that's definitely a conversation because I think they have a chance to, again, and that's for those first 3 weeks, right? Like, let's say like total, those Texas State, Mississippi State, NAU, like none of them put up double digits against ASU. Like, we're talking like that dominant.
Yeah.
Right. That's actually funny. I had a dream the other day where
welcome
Erik,
to the squad.
Where
having Sun Devil dreams.
I was watching an ASU road game with Kenny Dillingham, who was calling. Had the headset on from home.
He was home. He wasn't on the sideline.
He wasn't on the sideline.
Wow, so confident he didn't even show up.
And me and him were talking, and it was literally like no team could like they couldn't move the ball against ASU. Like ASU was just getting a turnover and a stop every single time, like not even a first down. Right. I remember thinking to myself, like, wow, this is the best defense in the country.
I think it's certainly.
I don't know that. Take that as you will.
Can I derail us for a second?
You could try.
Unless you were you about to make a good point, or was it just going to be nothing?
No, you go ahead. I was just following up on it.
Okay. Just who cares?
Yeah.
Point. Week 2, 9 a.m. HBO Max, Texas Tech, Kent State. We're there. Kent State win total for this year. Can you guess?
2.5.
No.
They've been the worst team in college football the last like 3 years.
5.5.
1.5.
1.5.
Yeah, they've won one game.
So why are we there?
24.
Why are we there? You think Kent State?
Because they're going
to
beat Texas
So
Tech?
hold on now. What did Texas Tech do this offseason?
They improved their defense.
But how?
They spent a lot of money
and brought in new people.
Correct.
Who might not mesh well. Arkansas Pine Bluff might be a tough game for them in week 1. Week 2, you're in MAC territory. They might not be fully there. I'm not saying Kent State's going to win, but what if Kent State scores the first points?
That changes everything.
Then we're there.
I mean, then we might be.
My Twitter would be going crazy.
I can't wait.
I'd be Dr. Golden Flashes.
Dr. Golden Flashes.
Dr. Golden Flashes.
Wow.
First ASU game I ever called for Blaze Radio was Jaden Daniels' debut against the Kent State Golden Flashes.
20 years ago.
Yeah. 85 years ago.
David bringing up an interesting point. Say, do you guys still look at rankings in old Pac-12 terms like I do? We'd only have 2 teams in the top 25. Kind of sad. Oregon at 7 and then ASU at 11. No USC this year. No Washington.
Yeah.
No UCLA. None of those schools finding themselves in the top 25.
The next potential, it'd be Utah at 144. And then after that, it would be Colorado, who got 1 vote to be in the AP top.
Kind of wild. USC didn't get any love.
Literally not a vote.
I mean, I'm big.
USC got a vote. USC got
a vote.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. It would be.
Come on, buddy.
It'd be Utah,
they got 64
USC,
votes.
then Colorado. Yeah.
It's Glenn. This is just Shane nonstop at all times.
If watching the MAC is a drug, then I'm the biggest supplier.
You are. Supply. You're
a
supplier?
I make people watch it.
Wow, that's tough. That's tough.
We got, dude. First of all, can we just take a moment?
We can.
And realize that this is the last Saturday with no college football.
It's beautiful, isn't it?
That's crazy.
It's beautiful.
We're here. We did it.
I just want to make sure we fully make it. You never know.
Yeah.
Things happen. Yeah. We're on a floating rock.
We got back from Camp T in my shaky car. So I think we're doing okay.
I actually was like I passed out. Like I was
worried for Logan.
The drive there was a little worried. The drive back was fine. It wasn't that bad. But the car started shaking on the way there.
Glenn says, y'all hear about the voter from Georgia Tech who didn't even list ASU at all? There was, I've seen so many bad polls and votes, just lists to come out. There was some dude at Fox Sports that, ranked all 136 teams and had ASU at 23 and had U of A at 38. Well, what are we doing? It was just a trash list. I get clicks, I get all that type of stuff, but if we're gonna really rank 136 teams, can we at least maybe rank 25 of the teams in somewhat of a decent order so it looks like you know what you're talking about instead of it just you throwing it and seeing if it sticks? Because that was embarrassing.
No, people just to do stupid things.
You guys know the spread on the Iowa State Kansas State game?
Oh, let's guess.
Kansas State.
It's a neutral
minus
site.
2.5.
Yeah, I was gonna say something around that. I'm gonna say Kansas State 4.5.
3.5. Split the difference.
Nice.
Now, can anybody guess Colorado, Georgia Tech?
I want to say
that's a fun one.
I would. Is this at Colorado?
Yep.
Ooh, at Colorado.
Colorado minus 1.5. Although I'm taking Tech in that game.
Georgia Tech minus 1.5.
Georgia Tech minus 4.
Wow, on the road.
On the road. They're a touchdown better.
Wow.
I love our brothers at DNVR, but I saw them laughing that they only got 1 vote. And Colorado stuff aside, like them being who they are aside, you guys lost your 2 best players.
You lost the Heisman and then
Your
another
starting
Heisman candidate.
Yeah, your starting quarterback.
Yeah.
And then your wide receiver 1 and your DB 1.
If ASU's in that situation, I don't even think about ASU being ranked. I don't even think about it.
No,
I'm not voting.
They lost more than that too. Wide receiver 2's gone.
Yeah.
Like they lost.
They did
ton
reload.
of
Their wide receiver room is nasty.
But
again,
it's like you gotta prove
exactly,
it.
100%.
Like, you can't go in and be like, hey man, like you can't be like Travis Hunter and Shadur Sanders, the 2 greatest football players that have ever walked on planet Earth. But by the way, we're fine. And like you might be, but like you expect people to watch and whatever. I'm not doing this again.
Well, again,
all last year.
I think this is like in that specific scenario with Colorado. It's like it's a different situation than I think most, because it's not like this was a team that was Arizona State last year that went to the Big 12 championship.
No, they didn't win the Big 12. They didn't even win their bowl game.
They were what, an 8-win team? They had a really good season.
They lost to the real Big 12 championship. To BYU.
Yeah. They had a really good season, but
Sure.
they did lose a bunch of their talent. It'd be like if ASU went to the Big 12 championship, lost all of their guys, and then we're sitting up here like this team deserves to be ranked or they deserve to be high.
Like if Iowa State lost Rocco Becht along with Noel and Higgins,
Yeah,
they wouldn't be in the top 25, right? Even if they reloaded, but like you lost your quarterback and your best weapons.
I mean, it depends. It depends, right? Because there are certain teams, right? You look at like, and this is almost a bad example because they won the national championship, but Ohio State lost a lot, right? Like Ohio State lost both the running backs, the quarterback.
They get the benefit.
They
of
lost,
the doubt,
but exactly, they get the benefit of the doubt. But there are teams across college football that are in that position,
sure,
right? Like you look at Clemson. Clemson, they lost their CFP game. Yes, they returned their quarterback, but look where they're at, right? And most of the year, it was SMU in the driver's seat of that ACC. So like there are certain situations, and I think that's why I was happy to see Arizona State ranked where they were. And that was the whole question, right? It's like, okay, is ASU going to get the respect, A, for being the reigning conference champions, and B, how much stock do they put in the fact that Tyson and Sam and the defense are still all cohesive and together versus like, oh, they lost Cam Skadden.
Well, and a majority of your offensive line, which we'll talk about because there is some stuff shifting there as well. Your tight end, who was second team all conference last year, well, he's returning. Your entire coaching staff, he's returning. I mean, we've done this song and dance about 1 million times this offseason, but I think it was very poignant when we talked to Matt Berry out at Big 12 Media Day. And it's like, what are the expectations for this team? And obviously Matt Berry's an ASU guy, but he's also a national guy. And he's like, you don't return that much talent and don't walk into this season without the highest expectations possible.
Yeah.
You won your conference. You had a bye in the college football playoffs. And yeah, you lost some really talented guys. But these good schools, they just bring in more talented guys. That's exactly what Arizona State did while retaining 90% of its starters from last year.
Yeah, the only team that has an equal amount or more, I think, in terms of retention in college football is Clemson. These are the only 2 teams in the country that retain as much talent as they do.
This season might just be like a love affair from afar between Clemson and Arizona State. Like
I think they're very comparable programs.
I think they're very similar teams, and I think that there is a chance that they flip as far as rankings go this season. But like, it's very funny that like you can look at Clemson and their quarterback and their returners and their defense. You're like, okay, what about Arizona State? You know, their quarterback, their returners, their defense, all of that. Like, there are a lot of similarities there.
Yeah,
but Clemson jumped up 10 spots from the end of last season.
People love Cade Klubnik. People are calling Cade Klubnik the best quarterback in college football, which
he might be.
He might be.
I think I mean, he might be. He's definitely a Heisman candidate, right? The same way that we talk about Sam. Like, you can't blame them for talking about Klubnik like that.
How many Heisman candidates do you think are out there right now? Legit.
Cade Klubnik, Sellers.
You think Sellers is a Heisman candidate?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay.
Absolutely. Especially when you're on a team that bad.
Yeah.
Arch, Nussmeier, Jeremiah Smith.
Jeremiah Love.
I'm telling you right now, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Bet365 has Jeremiah Smith to win the Heisman at plus 1,000.
That's crazy.
Yeah. He's the 4th shortest odds. Like, you get that in right now.
Short Bus says Lagway. No. I don't think so.
No, if Lagway wins the Heisman,
well, but Lagway is the same thing.
These are legit. We're talking best player.
I'm aware, but Lagway is the same thing as Sellers, where he could just freak. Like he
could freak, but Sellers,
where is he?
Sellers has proved so much more already.
Is Lagway not just Anthony Richardson 2.0?
Yeah, I've been saying that.
Oh.
I've been saying that. Anyway, I think they both wear number 2 also. Well, not anymore because he wears them, but they wore number 2 at Florida. DJ Lagway, same odds as Sam Leavitt to win the Heisman.
Which feels just
Fair.
kind of gross to me.
Fair. Totally fair. IMHO.
Fair.
But you know what? It's not fair. Carson Beck having the same odds as them 3.
Yeah, yeah.
Right now, Bet365 has Arch at plus 650, Nussmeier at plus 850, Klubnik at plus 900, Jeremiah Smith at plus 1,000, Lenore Sellers at plus 1,600.
So Arch is the betting favorite.
Yep.
Hey, Shane, can I borrow $50?
Aller at plus 1,800, Ty Simpson at plus 1,800.
Ty Simpson.
And then Beck, Dante Moore, DJ Lagway, Julian Saint, and Sam Leavitt all plus 2,000.
Yeah. Max says they have a love affair with Lagway. He does anything notable in Florida wins, and he'll be voted to New York City.
You know who's a name? I don't really believe this, but for some reason I can't get him out of my head. Mateer.
I like Oklahoma.
Not as far as like he's going to win the Heisman. As far as like I think he's going to put up some
15.
crazy numbers.
Sorry, Seth.
Well, look, before we dive into some of the updates from ASU practice,
some very important
updates for all 3 of us and for everybody in the chat. Who was ranked too high in the top 25? Who got SEC bias? Who got too much love?
You know who's too low? Tennessee. I know they lost their quarterback.
I had them really high.
I know they lost their quarterback, but still.
I think the 20s is about right.
I think late teens. I'm lower on them now than I was when I put them. I think I've had them like 12.
You put them, I think 9.
Like 9.
You put them up
crazy.
pretty high.
Yeah, 9's crazy. I wasn't a big Nico guy.
Glenn says Michigan's too high.
I know everybody's going to say Illinois. Like, that's the easy answer. But
Illinois.
People don't like Michigan either.
I think it's more so, hey, this was a team that was kind of last year, and you're putting all your eggs in the Bryce Underwood basket. So, like, how does that pan out? Because, again, Harbaugh's not there, right? Like, again, you're banking on this program kind of getting back to relevancy. But think about it. Michigan was kind of a piss poor average program until like they had their history and then they went like stagnant. Then Harbaugh got there, revived it. Now he's gone. You have a bad year. Yes, you got a big time quarterback and a freshman, but like, does it translate?
Well, and so here's a couple of teams that jumped the most. Okay, Clemson jumped 10 spots. That's the most out of anybody. From the end of last season to now. Alabama jumped 9, Florida jumped 8, South Carolina jumped 6. Those are the biggest jumps.
However, that's not necessarily true because Michigan and Florida didn't even finish ranked.
I guess in the ranking, Michigan didn't finish ranked,
Who's too high?
I think Michigan, in the top 10, Miami being the most likely to drop out, I think makes sense. Probably being a little bit too high. I think Alabama's sneaky in there with Kalen, and we'll see what they do after a disappointing year last year. I'm not as low on Illinois as everybody else is.
TAMU.
Texas A&M.
You hate Texas A&M.
Dude,
they're only 19. That's the thing, they're only 19. It's not like they're like
I don't think
12.
they should be ranked.
You don't think they should be ranked?
No,
I don't disagree with that.
They don't excite me
I
at all.
disagree with that.
Why do you disagree with that?
I think that they should be ranked.
Why?
Because they're good.
What points you to that? After the disappointing season they had last year, and they traded a quarterback for a better one, but
well, dude, Weidman's trash.
Yeah, but even when you what's this kid's name?
Trash
Their starter that was behind him, whatever his name is, he's not good either. I'm just like, they don't excite me very
Trash
much.
personified is crazy.
Weidman he's bad.
Well, he's Houston's quarterback now.
I know. For now, until Keyshawn comes around.
You think A&M's too high? You think?
Honestly,
I'm saying Miami's too high.
Yeah, I think Miami. Honestly, it's like I don't want to say Kansas State, but I don't think Kansas State right now is the 17th best team in the country.
Max says I think Michigan or South Carolina's ranking is fair. Michigan is doing what Texas Tech, but Michigan gets the benefit. Look at their losses. That's from Glenn.
Florida. That's a big bet on Lagway.
Okay, so who's
big bet on
before
Lagway.
we hit a break here? Who's too low? And this is I want to read you something from Brett McMurphy here. At least one team that started season unranked has finished in the top 10 in the final AP poll in 29 of the last 31 years. Which unranked team finishes top 10 this season? Also, who is too low?
I think Tennessee's too low. Not that they should be as high as I had them before, but I think they're better than the 24th best team in the country. I don't think Nico is amazing, so I'm not like, okay, they're just screwed after losing him.
I think Missouri got disrespected.
I think
Missouri 33.
Georgia
votes.
Tech got disrespected.
Georgia Tech. But
Yeah.
you say most likely to be in like the top 10. I like Georgia. I had Georgia Tech ranked too. Most disrespected.
Actually, I'm taking my Missouri comment back because last year I bet on Missouri to beat A&M and they lost like 41-10 or something like that.
So the game Drew Pine had to play.
I think so. Yeah.
Brady Cook got hurt.
Yeah. Oh, that was horrible.
I think Georgia Tech should be ranked. They're my answer for who's too low. I would say if I had to make a bet for which unranked team finishes top 10, I'm gonna say Utah.
Nah.
I like it.
I think
People.
It's very Utah.
People,
Because like last year, it's like, oh, they're going to be
but
good.
people
and
think they're bad. Like
I think they're bad.
they had a
Top
freak
10?
year last year.
Yeah,
Top-
no,
I mean,
that was
top
the
10's
that was the
crazy,
worst
though.
year Whittingham I think has had
And
since he
it
got
was
there.
riddled with injury and it was horrible. They had Joe Biden at quarterback. Like it was not good.
No,
You know who I just realized got votes?
Tulane,
Close.
Toledo.
Yeah.
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 You're.
You changed the program.
Are we believing in Tucker Gleason and Junior Vandeross?
I think you are.
Is Maxon Hook back? I gotta find that out.
All right. Well, he's finding that out. I think it's a perfect time to take our final break. We were out at Camp T this weekend. I always love telling people when I'm out at Camp T. And I also love telling people when I'm wearing
Nobody
branded,
loves it more.
when I'm wearing branded Bills hats because it was hot. It was hot
Yeah.
out there. But I felt good in my
got
branded
burned.
Bills hat. Not just because my head was protected, but also because it was breathable. It was stylish. I looked good. And I repped our brand. And if you want to get your own custom headwear, like we have custom PHNX headwear that you can buy on our website, you need to do it with branded Bills. I'm talking snapbacks, truckers, fitted, beanies, tees. They have you covered with performance and styles. Plus, they have partnerships with great universities like Arizona State University, and even they get in with the filth a little bit too. U of A, but partners with up to 40 schools across their campus collection. Also, they partner with the Phoenix Suns, and they're a local company out of Mesa, Arizona. Head to brandedbills.com and use code BBPHNX. That's brandedbills.com. Use code BBPHNX for 15% off your first order and get your own custom headwear like we have over here on PHNX.
Look, I know a lot of people, myself included, are counting down the days till Arizona State kicks off against NAU. But there's one other countdown you guys should be aware of. August 16th. That is this Saturday. The Straight Game podcast is coming to Gila River Resorts and Casino, specifically
there.
Wild Horse Pass. The Rubus is going to be there. Not a guest on the show, just
Not
chilling,
yet.
hanging out. Just
Not yet.
You're
Me
waiting.
and Shaquilo.
Yeah, you and Shaquilo. Get ready for
favorite
an
thing to do.
unforgettable night as NBA legends Mike Bibby, Eddie House, and of course, Coach Ty Ellis bring the Straight Game podcast to the stage for a special live recording featuring none other than basketball icon and business mogul Shaq. This exclusive event gives fans a front row seat to Shaq's larger-than-life personality in a raw, unfiltered conversation from epic on-court battles with Mike and Eddie to his journey building a global business empire. Shaq holds nothing back. I can't imagine there is any place you'd rather be than Wild Horse Pass. Tickets are at retail pricing when purchased online or by phone, but discounts are available at the box office only. Make sure you get yours now. Hit the like
Come
button.
see Shaquilo and me.
Shaquilo.
So bringing it back to Toledo.
Shaquilo to Toledo.
Combining Toledo with ASU, I brought this up when it happened. Do you guys remember which former Sun Devil is now on Toledo football?
Do I remember? Can
Yep.
I have a position?
2 positions.
2.
That should give you.
Oh, is it Chip Traynham?
It is. Chip Traynham will be a rocket.
That's right.
That's crazy.
A team's
Is he
gonna-
playing both ways at Toledo?
No idea.
They
That would
probably
be fun.
need him to.
That would be a lot of fun. It's
They don't
crazy he's
need
still
him
in
to.
college football.
Kidding.
How is this guy still have eligibility left?
Toledo.
Welcome to college.
Toledo covers in Tempe. I'm just saying.
They cover in Tempe.
Yep. Whatever the spread is, they'll cover barely. So if it's 50, they'll lose by
Chip Traynham
49.
revenge game?
If it's 3, they'll lose by 2.
Chip Traynham's got to have one of the most unique college football careers,
Yeah.
I think, of all time. Because he started at ASU as what, a linebacker?
No, he started as
No, he
running
started
back.
as a running back, and then
And
when
then-
you
Ohio
and then he
State as a
transferred to
linebacker.
Ohio State
And
and
then
then
he changed.
as a linebacker.
And then
But he
Kentucky
also
as a running
but he
back.
started getting snaps at Ohio State as a running back later in his career to Ohio State. And then he transferred to Kentucky as a running back, and now he's on Toledo. Yeah, I don't know how he has any.
Weird.
he's probably the only person in history to have that chain of schools.
Yeah, that's-
Arizona State, Ohio State, Kentucky, Toledo.
That's, yeah. I mean, he's been through a lot of the conferences.
Man, this,
at this point.
this Toledo secondary is going to be so good.
All right,
Shane, you're a sicko, man.
What about the
a sicko.
Arizona State Sun Devils? How about those guys?
We know that the number 11 team in the country is going to be really, really good. Definitely some changes in some noticeable things at today's practice to kind of make the fan base aware about. The center position, something that has been, I'm not going to say kind of held down, but it has been a position that feels like for the majority of the offseason, spring and early fall camp, that it's like, okay, Ben Coleman is going to be that guy. Your all-conference left guard, kicking into center, who's played a lot of college football, makes a lot of sense. With that said, Rubus, one thing that you noticed while we were out at Camp T, the scrimmage, and I'm sure a lot of the fan base saw, was that maybe there was some inconsistencies in the snaps. Right?
Yeah.
And so we roll out to practice today. And Wade Helton is getting first team tempo snaps at center. Wade Helton, a transfer from Iowa State, redshirt freshman, want to say 6'4", about 310 pounds.
Bigger than Ben Coleman.
Big guy, one of the twins, the Helton twins. But he's getting the first team snaps at center. And then you have Ben Coleman kicking back to left guard with Jameto Obigbo now outside of that starting five. So the offensive line certainly looks a little bit different, or at least it did today, right? And Kenny said they're still experimenting. It could very well be that Ben Coleman starts week 1 at center, but he's going to roll with whoever the best five or the combination of five that they feel. So how would you feel?
Okay, so I'd be lying to you if I said this is not slightly concerning. Am I pressing the panic button on the Arizona State Sun Devils? No. Right? Think back to last season, 1 week before the season started, they made a change on the offensive line. This is bigger.
And it worked out.
Yeah, but this is bigger and this is different, right?
I don't know if it's bigger.
Your starting center it's bigger.
Last year, your starting left tackle.
I hear you. I think just because of the expectations on this team, because of, the thing with Ben Coleman is that he's so smart. And we had a really good conversation about this in the Die Hard Discord after I brought it up when we were sitting there afterwards. And I was talking with Will and some other diehards in there. And thinking that maybe it's just Ben Coleman not being super comfortable at this yet. And it might take some live game reps for him to really get in tune with it. Because I think back to Big 12 Media Day again, and he mentioned that he was like changing the hand placement and how he snapped, and I asked him to kind of break that down for me, and he went on for like a minute and a half just rattling things off. And that's great. It's great to have the knowledge, right? And some people like this, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes, though, an overwhelming of information and choices and options at a position that's not it's not his natural position, right? Maybe that could get in his own head a little bit. And I remember also talking to a media member out there at Camp T, and it was like, would you rather just have 4 returning starters all at their same position? Or would you rather like have 3.5 with Ben Coleman switching positions, right? And I think it's a valid point. It might be better just to put Ben Coleman at where he earned the right to be an all-conference guard coming into the preseason.
Yeah.
I'm not worried yet, but I will say if I am going to be watching one thing the most over the first 3 weeks of the season, it's going to be that center position.
I think that's fair. I don't think, and this is me, I don't think I'm worried about it. I think you have so much depth and not just like depth in the sense of like, oh, this is somebody that is big, or oh, this is somebody that is strong, or somebody that, was a highly rated recruit. I think in terms of the depth that you have in the offensive line this year, you've got so much experience, right? You look at even the guys that we're talking about that probably won't get a lot of run this year, or at least that aren't in the combination for that starting five. Think about it. When you talk about we'll go spot by spot here. At left tackle, it's going to be Josh Atkins. Yep. You're returning your left tackle from last year.
Who was back at practice today, right?
Who was back practicing at left tackle. You look at the left guard spot. Okay, who could that be? Is that going to be Jameto Obigbo, who was in at Texas State last year? Is it going to be Sean Na, who we've seen play football at Arizona State.
And you've heard
football.
We've heard really good things about.
Or is it going to be Ben Coleman, right? Who is your all-conference left guard from last year? So I think you're comfortable with the options that you have there. At center, is it going to be Ben Coleman, who has worked in the spring, who has, spent a lot of time with Leavitt and Jordyn, who I know you chatted with up at Camp T as well about what you've seen.
Full conversation for diehards only.
Is it going to be Wade Helton, right? Somebody that is an offensive lineman that this staff wanted when he was coming out of high school and now gets that opportunity to throw him out there. So you've got that option. At right guard, well, guess what? Sean Knock will play right guard too, or is it going to be Kyle Scott, who Kenny said is one of the most improved offensive linemen last year, right? It looks pretty firm that Kyle Scott's going to be your right guard. And then at right tackle, is it going to be Ahanachor, who was, somebody that had a really, really good season last year, who people are now talking about as maybe a sleeper NFL prospect? Is going to be Jalen Clem, who we know has, been a part of some really good offensive lines in his college career. So you've got options, and you don't have just like super raw options.
Sure.
You've got guys that have been around college football.
Yeah, and I think that's why I'm saying I'm not pressing the panic button, but you also have to look at this from like a holistic perspective of like, in order for Arizona State to do the things on the glaziest episode of all time that we said, where like we were like, hey, this is a team that could go undefeated, to win the Big 12 in dominant fashion, right? Get a good berth in the CFP and go on to compete for a national championship, right? Which again, they're the 11th ranked team in the country. It's not a far-fetched conversation. The margins to go from 11, 10, 9, 8 to top 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 team in the country, like those are margins that having a center who isn't comfortable or who isn't, like a Leavitt and Jordyn type, right?
Yeah.
Like that margin could be pretty insane. It could be Sam Leavitt not being as good as we expected him to be, but still being great, just not like this elite next step, right? I don't think that this determines if the ASU will be good, right? Or if ASU will be competing for a Big 12 championship, right? I think it might be a hinging point of, are you outright dominant? And maybe it's not. Maybe they figure it out. Like they changed the offensive line a week before the season last year, right? I'm sure, and I trust this coaching staff. I trust Kenny. I trust Arroyo. I trust Saga. Like I trust all of them, right? And I said the same thing, 365 days ago when they made the change before. But that's not a small deal. Like it's not a small deal, but it's not like a program ruiner, right? It's something where like you're gonna have to keep
words
tags
here that I just totally don't like. I feel like
it's not a program ruiner, but you got to. I mean, this is definitely something to keep like tabs on.
100%, 150%. You keep tabs on 150%. You're keeping an eye on it every time that we're out at practice, and that's something certainly that you're moving forward with. But as it stands right now, whether it's Ben Coleman at center or Wade Helton at center, I feel like you have so much around that, and there is no reason that, from what we've seen, to not have faith that this coaching staff will find a way to put the best 5 out there. And even if it's like, if the center position is a question from the start of the year to the end of the year, that this team still won't find a way to win football games. Because last year,
but winning,
last year they had an all-conference offensive lineman at Leavitt and Jordyn, and there was still a bunch of close games. They still lost 2 games last season.
And that's kind of thing is like, I'm not trying to be like a Debbie Downer here, because I do still believe, and again, like we've talked about this offensive line, but like I have brought up a couple times over the summer of like, hey, man, Ben Coleman's never played center at college football. He's fantastic at what he does. He's a great guy. He's extremely smart, and I do have faith in him as a football player. Wade Helton has not played in college football.
No, he has not played in college.
And you're going to have him as the potential starting center for a team with college football playoff aspirations. Like, does that work out? It could. Does the staff figure it out? Absolutely. If I have faith in any staff, it would be this one. Is that not the biggest question mark surrounding this team going into the season? Yeah. I think so.
It's the biggest question mark. But to say that it could be
things. I said it's not a program ruiner.
It's just
I said it's not that. But I think it is something that could cap the ceiling of this team, maybe by a couple spots in the CFP, maybe by a couple of possessions here or there, right? Like, having a center who has never played center in college football, and those are your 2 options, right? That's not like ideal. If I told you could have either a center who has played center in college football and has proven that he's good at it, or one that has never played it before, you would always pick the first one, right?
100%.
And if we're going to nitpick the quote unquote problems of this team, or the things that we might need to look out for, like, that is number one on the list. And it would be naive to think that it's like that's going to have no impact
I'm not
whatsoever.
saying it's not going to have no impact, but I mean, you want to use that same argument. Look at the quarterback position last year. Do you want somebody in Jeff Sims who's played college football and turnover-wise, it's not what you want? Or do you want the guy who's never played a big-time football game in his life in college football and Sam Leavitt? And look at the way that worked out.
No, I hear you, and I'm going to continue to hear you in overtime. If you're watching on GoPHNX.com, the party always continues. Wait, I flipped that up. If you're watching on TV, who cares? We're here. I hear you, and I don't like. I'm just saying I'm not losing sleep because of this. Right, I'm not, and I wasn't like with the quarterback competition and stuff. Like, I think that's a little bit different. But I hear what you're saying.
I would say the quarterback stuff is 10 times more important.
Agreed, but it was like, but the standard, the margins, the expectations during that was so different than where they are right now.
Yeah, but screw expectations. Just what the actual like situation is. Either you've got a guy who's played college football, or you've got a guy who hasn't really played college football.
Right. And I guess then like the pro argument is if you have the guy who hasn't played college football before, you then are putting a left guard next to him that is one of the best.
Yeah.
Right. So what, like if week one, was this weekend and you're the coach and they're playing NAU on Saturday, what choice are you making?
Wade Helton's my center, but Wade Helton is my center because I think in the situation that you have as it stands right now, going back to the experience of a guy like Ben Coleman, I think if you ultimately have to make a change midseason at center, I think you are better off moving your most experienced offensive lineman
over
inside,
to center
instead of moving a guy in Wade Helton who wouldn't even be in your starting five into the starting lineup. Also, I think from a pure like confidence perspective, if you move Wade Helton into the starting lineup, I think that changes the dynamic of this offensive line. I'm talking midseason.
If you hear you.
Ben out from center to left guard, then I think that changes things.
Let's use numbers for this. Like, let's say Ben Coleman at center is a 70, and at guard he is a 90.
Mm-hmm.
If Jameto Bigbo is at left guard, what is he?
He's not Ben Coleman.
Yeah, but I guess he's 60.
I think Ben Coleman at left guard, I think, is definitely a 90 for me. I think if Jameto Bigbo is starting at left guard, I think that's like a 78. Yeah. I'd say like a 78.
So let's say 80 to round up. Let's say 80. Ben Coleman at center is a 90, 170. Sorry. No.
Ben Coleman at center?
Ben Coleman is a 70, so like a 150. If you move Ben Coleman back to left guard, he's a 90. What would you put Wade Helton at as a center?
I mean, he hasn't played a snap in college football.
Yeah, that's the thing.
He'd be a 60.
It's an unknown. Yeah, so they're both both 150. They're both like the same.
No, that's what I'm saying. It's an unknown, but like, and I think this is where Ruby and I are having a little bit of like a head on here is like, for me, this like. Yes, this is something to watch 100%, but I think and I'm not saying you don't have faith in the coaching staff by any means. I think for me, it's just like given what this staff did last year with question marks around the roster and the starting five, I've got just ultimate confidence that this coaching staff is going to be able to make it work with whoever they have.
And I don't disagree with you. I have supreme faith in the coaching staff, right? Which again is why I'm not pressing the panic button by any means whatsoever, right? And I agree with you where you say if you're going to start doing something, it's like you can't go halfway, right? Like week one against NAU, you need to commit, right? Wade Helton, you are the starting center for this team. We are practicing with you as a starting center. Ben Coleman, you are the left guard, right? And then if we need to make a change, we'll make a change. And the depth is great. The team's in a better position. My only thing is like when you look at where this team is and where they want to be, right, and where the standards are for everything, the same way that we can look at the positive side of everything with Sam Leavitt, with Jordyn Tyson, with the running backs, with the coaching staff, and you absolutely should, and they've earned the benefit of the doubt, right? And that should be the majority of the conversation. Sports aren't linear. Like, these are not things that always follow the same path, and there are certain things that could happen that would result in ASU not meeting standards and expectations of what we put on them, which is potentially going 12-0. Right? Which is dominating in the Big 12, winning the Big 12 again, and going to the college football playoffs with a better shot of winning a national championship than last year when you took Texas to overtime. Right? That's a high standard. Right? And that is a question mark that they need to answer. But can they? I think they can. Right? I want to see it, and I want to see a decision, and that is the only thing right now. When I was out there like watching it, like maybe it looks worse because the defense they're going up against is so suffocating, right? And maybe once you get in against NAU, right, and maybe Ben Coleman is your starting center. You go up against NAU and he's just like, he locks in because he's playing NAU. And it's like just that little bit of confidence, that comfortability, the game reps, that's all he needed.
Yeah.
Right? Same thing, like Sam's not the best practice player. But when the lights are on, when he's out there on the field in the game, like at the end of Camp T, when the offense was struggling and then all of a sudden he locks in, hits Jaron Hamilton for bang, bang, like right down the field, ended on a touchdown. Like when the lights are bright, Sam locks in and he steps up to the occasion. Maybe Ben Coleman is that kind of guy at center. He hasn't gotten a single game rep yet. Right? Like these are all options that are still on the table, but it is something that, like, as far as if we had to rank the top 5, storylines to watch as far as what could get in Arizona State's way, to start off the season hot, that's number 1 for me. And I think it's worth acknowledging that at least, even if we don't believe it's going to trip them up.
I'm not saying that this is like, we're just glossing over it.
Sure.
But again, I think, and this is more like the experience I had last year as somebody who watches a very gross amount of college football. And was out at every single one of these practices last year, last fall, whatever. And you go through the entirety of fall camp with Emmett Boley as your starting left tackle, right? Somebody who's been on this team. Yeah. And then you get to a week before the game and, hey, Josh Atkins is now your starting left tackle. Mm-hmm. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, and I'm like, this feels like a late switch, right? It's game week. What are we doing here? 2, I think Emmett Boley has a more like the build you're looking for when it comes to a traditional tackle versus Josh Atkins. Yeah. Right. So I'm sitting here, I'm like, I just don't see it. Josh Atkins projects more as like a starting guard versus Emmett Boley, right? Who again is here. We're talking about we're talking about your quarterback's blind side here, right? And especially if you're like, okay, we're throwing out a redshirt freshman quarterback. The one thing that I need to make sure is that this dude is not getting absolutely blasted from behind, right? This is, I think, a moment for me last year where it was like, okay, I don't know about this situation. Yeah. And then ultimately it gets taken care of and it like, agreed. It ended up being better.
They earned the benefit of the doubt. Yeah. It was the right decision. It was the right decision. And if you go back to 365 days ago, I was kind of taking the same stance as far as like, I trust Kenny, but this is weird. Yeah. And it's like, I hope it works out. And it did. And have they earned the benefit of the doubt, top to bottom, the coaching staff? Absolutely. Will they do what's best for the team? Absolutely.
Yeah. But Bees with a perfect, I think, way to like wrap it up is having an all-conference left guard as your contingency plan at center. Not that bad.
No, and that's the thing is like at the end of the day, like, do I think it's not going to work out? No. I want an answer. I want a contingency plan, and I want to go forward. And I think we will. It should be fun. Like again, we could spend 5 times as long talking about all the good things that we think could break Arizona State's way, and this could end up being a non-story by week 2.
Yeah, it very well could be. Just a couple things I'll throw out there before we wrap up today's episode. Kendrick Breedlove was getting reps with the ones at nickel today. And then Justin Watley getting reps with the ones on the defensive line in place of Prince Dorba.
That's something that maybe we can dive into a little bit more tomorrow.
Yeah. Again, not things that are necessarily like set in stone. We've seen Dilly and the staff kind of, work things in. We know about some of these ongoing position battles and competitions, but just want to throw that out there for everybody in the chat, of course. Conversation is always popping in that diehard Discord. So make sure you head to go PHNX and you sign up to become a PHNX diehard today. But that is going to do it for today's episode. Again, Arizona State coming in at number 11 in the preseason AP Top 25. Hit that like button and the subscribe button on your way out. And of course, we will see you guys on Tuesday. Same time, same place. If you enjoyed today's content, give us a follow, give the show a follow at PHNX_signups. You can follow me at Anthony_Totri. You can follow this guy right here, the hall monitor, of course, at Erik.
Excuse me, do you have the bathroom pass?
That is Erik with a K.
Is he a bathroom pass?
The Deli Man at Shane Dief.
Maybe in contention to play left guard at ASU as always.
And we will see you guys on Tuesday. In the meantime, go Devils and peace.
We all silly like the mayor.